My entire life, I've considered myself a bad runner. It started during the timed mile run in middle school, where I would struggle to make the 10-minute mile cutoff time to receive credit for that day. In high school, my friends would gossip and chat during the timed mile run while I would struggle to catch my breath the entire time. During COVID lockdown, I picked up running and continued to beat myself up each and every run for being so slow. Every run, I would push myself for a PR and be so disappointed in myself if I didn't hit it. Fast forward to New Year's 2023, where I set a goal to improve my cardio after spending years doing almost exclusively weightlifting. And I also wanted to lose some fat. I continued these same habits. I pushed myself to failure and pure exhaustion, just like I did with weight training. I did multiple hard runs per week, and I tried to push myself for a PR every time, and I totally burnt myself out. I really didn't know anything about running, and I completely exhausted myself. Towards the end of my 90-day cut challenge, I decided I wanted to continue working on and improving my cardio, and that would be my goal and my main focus for the summer. I spent a few weeks experimenting with new ways of running and doing tons and tons of research on running form, how to improve, the science behind it, and in perfect timing, Natacha Oceane released her hybrid gym and running training guide. I bought it that same day, I started it the next day, and now I am about a week into the program. So I'm officially starting my journey of becoming a runner after a lifetime of being told and telling myself that I can't run. I'm on a mission to find the best gear, the best programs, the best routine, perfect my nutrition, my form, beat my personal 5K time, and become a runner. So welcome to week 1 of my running challenge. I'm a little bit nervous, but mostly excited to see how much progress I can make over the next 12, I guess 11 now, weeks of doing this program. I'm excited to prove to myself that I can become a runner and hopefully prove to you that you are capable of doing the same. Make sure to subscribe if you'd like to come on this journey with me and see everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm learning. I'll be sharing my experiences as well as the science behind all the things that I'm doing and the changes I'm making so that you can apply these tools and learnings to your own fitness routine. Let's talk a little bit about the program, my training focus, and the modifications that I'll be making. For the program, you have 3 training focus options: running focus, equal focus, and resistance focus. I'm doing the running focus, which means that I'll have 2 strength hypertrophy gym sessions in the week and 2 to 3 running sessions in the week. And this is totally new for me because normally it's the other way around. Even just recently, I've added 1 to 2 cardio sessions per week, but normally I'm doing almost all weightlifting. So having this switch to have weightlifting be the minority of my workouts will definitely be interesting. In the program, I have 1 lower body strength and hypertrophy day and 1 upper body strength and hypertrophy day. Hypertrophy is something we do to build muscle, so that will usually be in the 8 to 12 repetition range, whereas strength will be lower volume, and the goal, of course, is to build strength. I have optional run-specific gym training that I can tack on to the end of my sessions when I have time. There are 5 distance options for the program: beginner, 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon. If you're training for a race, she recommends choosing the distance your race is going to be. Since I'm not training for a race, and based on the recommendations within the program, I am a beginner. So I'm starting with the beginner distance. If you're trying to do the math behind the scenes here, that is 15 unique combinations for this program. It's definitely something you're getting tons of value for your money out of. You can repeat it many, many times and switch up the focus of your training or the distance as you progress. Since I've been running about once a week for the last few months, I wouldn't really consider myself a complete beginner, but I do plan to switch to the 5K if I find the beginner runs a little bit too easy and I want to add in more of a challenge. The main reason I'm doing beginner is because although I'm able to push through the physical pain to run at a decent pace, my heart rate gets high so fast. I have to tell you, although I wish it didn't, it is hurting my ego a little bit that I'm starting as a beginner, especially as someone who's been consistently working out for like 3 or 4 years now. It makes sense that I'm at the beginner level with running because I've never really focused on running. In my childhood through my high school graduation, I was a dancer, but dancing is very different than running. It's not really an endurance sport as much. It's more like HIIT training, very different than running where you have a little bit more endurance involved and you're going at a slow, consistent pace over a longer period of time. I know it's something I shouldn't be embarrassed of, so I only share it in case you're going through something similar. It's not something to be embarrassed about though. We all start somewhere. New beginnings are fun and exciting and rare the older you get. That's where I'm at and that's totally fine. In the beginner level, essentially you're just trying to do more and more continuous running without stopping for walking breaks. The 5K plus distances are where you start to get into speed running and different types of runs. Let's get into my week 1 thoughts. The first thing is, it's absolutely insane how much more enjoyable running is when you are not pushing yourself to your absolute max every single time. I get home from my runs feeling like I could have gone for twice as long or much longer and have so much energy still, which just feels really amazing, especially compared to before when I would run to the point of exhaustion and then basically collapse into a pile on the floor when I got home. Previously, when I would run, I would feel like I hit a wall after my first mile, and every step after that was just so painful on my body, my lungs, and also it was just really mentally exhausting. I've since learned the reason for that is blood lactate or lactic acid levels. Beyond a certain intensity level, if you have a heart rate tracker, this will be heart rate zone 2, our blood lactic acid levels start to increase exponentially as we increase our intensity. So what that means is that lactic acid accumulates in your body faster than your body is able to clear it out. The best way that I can describe running after you've hit that lactic acid threshold is like someone puts a big backpack full of rocks onto my back. Training at this easier, slower pace before your lactic acid starts to go crazy has been proven to improve your aerobic system. Don't worry if you don't have a heart rate tracker, because studies have shown that we're pretty good at estimating how hard we're exerting ourselves even without trackers or other tools. But if you're looking for a tool, a way that you can sort of measure how hard you're going during a run, you can try the talk test, which is essentially, can you carry a conversation without getting too out of breath? The more I've run, the easier I can tell how hard I'm exerting myself. So as you progress with your running and run more and more, it'll probably be easier for you to tell how hard you're going. I want to give you a starting point for this challenge for my VO2 max. So my VO2 max is starting at 32. VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen your body is able to use during exercise. I was at 34 at the end of my 90-day cut challenge, but since then I've traveled, I've taken some time off of the gym because I got really sick, unfortunately. I think because of that, my levels have reduced a little bit from where I finished my challenge at, unfortunately. As someone who is into health and fitness, I just feel a little bit embarrassed about having what Apple calls a below average for my age group VO2 max level. Although genetics does play a part in your VO2 max, it's highly related to how fit you are. So higher numbers are usually correlated to increased cardio fitness and better performing aerobic systems. As with anything, please don't compare your stats to mine. So if your VO2 max is different than mine, that could be purely because of genetics and have nothing to do with our fitness levels. So I always recommend you compare these stats only to your own previous stats and try to improve within yourself rather than comparing to others, because it's seriously so useless. Don't compare your stats to mine, please. I just wanted to be transparent because we all start somewhere, and this is where I am personally starting. And like I said, being a beginner is nothing to be embarrassed about. It should be something that is exciting. But yeah, I like to use the VO2 max thing as motivation for why this is so important to me and how much of an opportunity I have to improve my health and well-being overall by focusing on improving my VO2 max. And that's it for now. I will be back with an update soon. Hey friends, we are a couple weeks into my running challenge and doing Natacha Oceane's hybrid program, and I have a couple of updates. I have been running slow, like really slow, like 15 or 16 minute miles. And by the way, my walking pace personally is around 20 minutes per mile. So I am running so slow, it's almost walking. Really interesting. The thing that's been bothering me the most about that is actually my feet and calves. So my ankles, my Achilles, and my calves have been getting so sore from running this slow. Before, it was my cardio system that would force me to stop. Like I would get so out of breath. My lungs would just like burn. So that's what would cause me to stop running and not be able to go any further. But now, definitely the thing that's stopping me is my feet. A couple times per run, I'm having to like stop and stretch out my calves and roll my ankles out and stuff just so I can keep going. So definitely things are changing as I am changing my pace to go a lot slower. I run on this path that a lot of other runners in my neighborhood run on as well. And people pass me left and right. Like people speed walking past me. You know, when you are just constantly 24/7 getting passed by people, it can be like a little bit of a bummer. And sometimes I find it a little bit embarrassing, but like I said, pushing through, beginner's mindset. Another thing I've noticed with doing more running is just that I'm feeling so tight. I have a really good habit after my gym workouts and like my lifting sessions of stretching for 5 or 10 minutes. I do it almost every time. And because of that, I've been able to stay really flexible. I have been doing a horrible job of that with my running. I haven't been doing any stretching after the end of my runs. Let's just say I have been feeling it. My hamstrings have been so tight, my legs have been so tight, so I'm making a point to try to do recovery after every run, but sometimes I'm running late in the morning, pun intended, running late, and I just need to get in the shower, get ready, start working. But I'm gonna make an effort when I have the time on my off days to do like a good 15 or 20 minute stretching and rolling out routine. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find anything in the hybrid program PDF about how to recover, stretch, things like that. She just touches on how rest days are important, which true. One thing that maybe I wish the program had, or I wish the program touched on a little bit more, was recovery, because I'm kind of just making it up as I go here. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. Good morning, happy Friday. Today's goal for my run is to go slow because a couple days ago I came in really hot and I ruined my whole run, and then I was so exhausted I was actually out of commission for 2 full days after that. Pushing strollers and walking. Building aerobic systems. I am here with a week 5 running update. Right now for the hybrid program, I am doing slow, continuous running, not doing any speed work. I'm walking as needed, and I'm focusing a lot on keeping my runs actually slow and keeping my heart rate down throughout. So for example, I may be running quite slow, but if I'm doing so uphill, my heart rate will jump quite a bit because that's a lot more difficult on your body than running on a flat ground. So I'm trying to track my heart rate pretty closely. I have notifications set up on my Apple Watch so that I get notified when my heart rate crosses certain thresholds, so I can be aware of that. My current modifications are, for the last couple of weeks, I've been running a little bit longer than recommended just because the loop around my neighborhood is that distance and it just works out easier that way. I'm also moving through the weeks a little bit faster than the recommendation just because of my own abilities, so I didn't really start off as like 100% true beginner, so I'm able to skip some of the progressions onto the next progression. But also, like, my training is so up and down and it changes day to day, week to week, depending on a lot of different factors, so I've been accounting for all of those as well. I have only had time to do the run specific gym training about half the time. My goal was to add it on to every single gym session, and I've been getting it about half the time, but I'm gonna try and do a better job of making time for it for the next part of the program, just because I think I will see more improvements if I'm able to fit that in. I wanted to talk about some of the problems I've run into since starting this challenge. The first thing I talked about a little bit in my last update, but it is coming in hot and just running too fast. So I don't think I realized how much running too fast could really impact the rest of the week or take me out for like several days after the run. I also keep getting overexcited and then going too fast at the start, and then the lactic acid comes to get me. As we all know, that is no good. So I need to practice what I preach a little bit more and go slow on purpose, especially at the beginning when I have high energy and I'm excited. There have been several times in the past couple of weeks that I have had to skip runs or significantly reduce energy expenditure because I was so exhausted. So for example, I did this one run that I wanted to get a PR on because I was feeling really excited and feeling good that morning, and I probably ran at like a 7 or 8 out of 10 rate of perceived exertion, 10 being the most possible exertion, 1 being very little exertion. So that is quite high, and I've learned the hard way that doing that for 30 minutes straight of running will absolutely knock me out for several days. It put a lot of stress onto my body and it required a lot of recovery because of that. And the program stresses that running slow and taking it easy is an important part of balancing the gym and running portions of your training. Learn that lesson the hard way. Will not be doing that again. Will be really going slow and understanding that each day is going to be different depending on how recovered I am, how well I slept, the weather, etc. It's hard for me to go slow. I feel ridiculous sometimes and I get embarrassed, but that's something I'm working on. It's really just a comparison game because I see people passing me and running much faster, or they're much fitter or whatever, and I'm like, I could run that fast if I just push myself, but really that is not optimal for the results that I'm going for, and I need to remember to keep going slow. It's also hard mentally not to see myself PR every time because it is so measurable. You can really see those kind of ups and downs, and I feel like I don't notice it as much with my strength training. That feels a little bit more consistent. Of course, I have good and bad days, but with my running, because it's timed so precisely and distance is measured so precisely, it is a lot clearer to me when I've had a bad day. And obviously those are never fun. Also, for reasons I don't fully understand and I'm trying to understand, some runs feel so much harder than others. So I'm trying to notice when a run feels quite a bit harder or my stats are significantly worse and try to identify the factors that may have caused that. Some of the ones that I've been looking at are weather, so temperature, amount of sun, cloud cover, etc., wind, my sleep, my energy levels, what I was eating the night before, whether I had recently strength trained and if I was feeling sore, things like that. Fortunately, I have seen some improvements I'm going to share with you. So obviously I'm a beginner. This is a big deal for me, but maybe just like an everyday thing for a lot of people. But I ran my longest ever time continuously without stopping, and that was 30 minutes, which is quite short compared to a lot of experienced runners. But like I said, I'm just a beginner, so I was really proud of that. One thing that I'm monitoring closely is that I do feel like I'm losing a little bit of strength and power at the gym, which totally makes sense because I have cut my strength and hypertrophy workouts basically in half on a weekly basis. So of course, I'm not going to be progressing as fast in that area if I'm not working on it as often. So I'm just rolling with it. I'm trying to keep up my protein and trying to focus really hard when I do have those gym sessions on giving it everything I have and making sure I have enough time to complete it fully and do my absolute best and have well-rested sets. So one of the ways I'm doing that is I actually moved my gym sessions to Saturday and Sunday, so I don't have to worry about work, getting ready in the morning, rushing at all. I can take almost as much time as I need, essentially, to go slowly, do it right, to make every effort I can to preserve my existing muscle and make sure that part of the equation is taken care of. But yeah, things are going well so far, and I'm excited to give you another update soon. If you're interested in following along on my journey to become a runner, whether you yourself are a beginner, someone who wants to pick running back up after some time off, or someone who's interested in improving, make sure to subscribe. I will be doing lots of episodes in this series about everything I learned about the best gear, programs, recovery, hydration, tons of different stuff. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you'd like to see more from my channel, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time.